Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to College Football UK. I am your host, Fletch. It's been a couple of weeks since our national championship review, just with the season ending and the NFL playoffs kicking off and just life in general. Hard to get us all at a time where we're just ready to go. But I am joined by Nick, as is usually the case at the moment. How are you, sir?
All good. Uh, all good.
We love to hear it. So today, I think what we're gonna do, I just want us to talk in general a bit about the 2024 season, some of the highs, some of the lows, some of the things that we enjoyed seeing throughout the year, and just have a bit of a recap. Because why not? It's a nice fluffy episode, one that, well, I say fluffy episode. There's gonna be some non-fluffy bits in here, but I think, has there been any news in college football lately? I have recently started a brand new job and I have been so tired the last couple of weeks. I have not been on it as much as I should.
Um, I think a lot of the thing at the moment has been, it depends what end of college football you're at, because
Yeah.
obviously it's been National Recruitment Register Day today.
Yeah.
So a lot of the new recruits have had to decide where they were going. Now, we've mentioned weeks through the last weeks, in even through the last months, we've talked about where players have said they're going to go. We've talked about how players have said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go here," and then they changed their mind and went somewhere else. So, but today was the deadline where they had to confirm where they were going.
Yeah.
So that's been going on at the new end, at the beginning of college football. Obviously, at the end of college football, this last weekend, you had the Senior Bowl.
Yes.
So there was some awesome stuff going on there. Some, you know, absolute amazing drills and performances, and some people have shot up my board behind me that weren't even on it, and so that's been going on at the so obviously at the front end, where as they people prepare to the for the draft, which obviously the combine
Yeah.
for all the new recruits is end of this month, I think,
Uh-huh.
beginning of next month, something like that. So yeah, there's been a few bits like that. There's been a couple of um, coordinator changes and coaching changes, um, but there's nothing really of major sort of notage. No one's been in trouble. No one's no one's committed any major crimes that I know of. Um, so they're all getting their heads down and doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's one of those where you have to go searching for the news at the moment.
Yeah. I believe there has been sort of, I'm trying to find it. There's been some news regarding realignment, I believe. Um, just trying to find it. Um, Before I get onto that, well, I'll try and find it. Um, I
We had
want
the
to,
schedule release as well yesterday.
there
I
have been some.
text
Yeah, we'll say there
text
have
you
been
that.
some schedule releases. The Big 12, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you and Sam had a great chit chat about that. I watched that. Now, children, let's stop. You know, I didn't fancy refereeing that as you two were titting and tatting between you.
Um, Sam incorrect. For those who want to know in our little private chat, Sam incorrectly stated that the Big Ten schedule release was the little brother of the SEC schedule release. And we all know that because it suits my agenda right now, the Big Ten has produced the last two national championship winners because it suits my agenda, and I admit that. But at the end of the day, it's also correct. So, you know, take your puppy dogs, take your little hornies, and bugger off, realistically. And yeah, just bugger off because you got shown up in the playoffs. So Big Ten's where it's at. Big Ten or be a Big Ten or be independent. Everything else is irrelevant.
No, no arguments from me there.
Um, but yeah, there has been a little bit of realignment stuff. I know that Ohio State's staff have started being poached. The only one that hasn't been poached, I think, is like Ryan Day, basically. I think he's the only one left. Chip Kelly went to the NFL, their offensive coordinator. Former NFL head coach
Yeah,
has gone and joined. By the way, can we just speak for 1 second about the NFL and the head coaching hires? Because this is something I think we're going to get onto tomorrow with Hurdle the Line when we discuss that, because that's been a week since we've put out an episode. But it's been a little bit of a weird cycle. One head coaching position remains in the NFL so far, and that's the New Orleans Saints, who I believe are going to hire
Kellen
Kellen
Moore,
Moore.
who's currently at Philadelphia, so they
Yeah,
can't do anything. They can't do anything until Philadelphia beat Kansas City. Hopefully,
exact. Yeah, but you've got
please,
everything from
please,
every
please.
everything from the Liam Cohen debacle over Trent Balk at Jacksonville, and then the
Yeah,
Duval,
and
which was just
Schottenheimer getting the Dallas Cowboys job.
Schottenheimer getting the Dallas job, and then Pete Carroll getting the
Getting the
Raiders
Vegas
job, and now
Raiders.
he took Ohio State offensive coordinator Chip Kelly over in a sat. It's Can you consider it a sideways move if you go into the NFL with it?
No, I think you have to consider it an upward move because the. I mean, I get how big Ohio State are, but if you're Chip Kelly and you've already been in the NFL, that's where you want to get back to.
Yeah.
I get some coaches are happy in college, they find their groove. Like let's take the greatest of all. Let's take Nick Saban. He tried it at the NFL, didn't work,
Did
didn't
not work.
suit him. He
Urban
came
Meyer.
back down. He came back down to college where he knew his level was, and he smashed it to pieces. So I think some people realize where their level is, and then you can argue, well, if my level is college and I'm not destined to be any higher, then okay, then wherever I can go in college is the best. But if you deem the NFL to be the best of the highest, then obviously anywhere in the NFL is better than anywhere in college, in theory.
Well,
Um,
I get that, I do. But I'd also say that I don't even think sometimes it's a case of like the NFL is just like you're not good enough for the NFL. The whole thing's different. The whole recruiting process is different. Okay, free agency is a little bit like the the window opening and the market
I
opening.
mean, I
But
would argue that the window cleaner, I would argue that the window cleaner at um, oh God, I would argue that the window cleaner at North Dakota State is probably higher value than any Jets position because
oh,
they're a bunch of dicks.
I want to say I agree, but now they've just hired Aaron Glenn, and
Why? I mean, I get he's an ex-Jet, but why? Why would you go there when you had the other options?
I,
Fair play to him. He's got a
that's
head coaching job, fair play to him.
that. Yeah, that's
I
just.
don't like the Jets because I'm a Pat, but that's just the way it is.
I don't like the Jets because I like football, and that's just the way it is.
Fair
Um,
enough.
but no, because I just think the role is so different in the NFL in comparison to college, in comparison to college football. Because like I say, everything from the recruiting to how you run a program to how you do practices and conduct practices to how you play the game and prep for games and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get the whole upgrade side of it, and yes, the NFL is well, it's the best players from college. Only the best players from college are playing in the NFL. Not This isn't all the players from college,
yeah,
but at the same, you don't have your okay, maybe the Jets will use, but you don't have your equivalent of a Kent State or whatever that you can play in. But to an extent, I think it's a completely different. It's where you have different skill sets because I think this is what I want to see out of Bill Belichick is can he handle home visits? And I know I
He's
don't.
just
I'm not doubting that he
he's
can.
just recruited one, so I think he's done all right.
Well, no, I'm saying that's. I'm not saying he can, and I'm not saying. I'm not. This is not a slight at Bill Belichick in any way, or me suggesting that he can or won't do it very well. But it's just, I want to see how you handle doing home visits. I want to see how you handle the fact that you've got to schedule practice for before classes start, and how. And listen, that if he can go home to his 23-year-old girlfriend's parents and sell himself as a suitable partner for their daughter, I am pretty sure he can go and sell the University of North Carolina as a football program to a football prospect. I'm
So okay, so is let's take let's take Wade Phillips as
right.
an example, who's head coach at Birmingham in the XFL. Birmingham, is it? I can't remember. He's the national champion anyway. He's the head coach, national champion. So let's say, is the head coach of the XFL national champion better or worse than the Clemson head coaching job? Just picking a college out of thin air,
I'd go out there and say worse.
right?
But again, it's a bit different. So, but I do think it's worse because you're not directly dealing, you are dealing with the best talent that's left.
Yeah,
You're not dealing with the best talent and you're not having to go do home visits and things like that. You're just going, who's a free agent
yeah.
that didn't make it through the NFL? Who's being bounced around on a practice squad?
No, I think the point I was moving towards is if you were looking for if you're Clemson and you're looking for a head coach and you've got, I don't know, you know, a former NFL head coach,
Yeah.
pick one, whoever you want, who's not employed, but
Right.
you've got Wade Phillips, who's XFL head coach, current national champion
Yeah.
twice over or whatever, and he applies for the job. Who has a better chance of getting the job?
I
Who are you valuing more? Are you valuing the NFL guy or are you valuing the XFL champion? I think that's where I'm coming from. I think
right,
it's
okay.
it's it's very different. It's like chocolate bars and biscuits.
Yeah.
You know,
No, that's a really good question. That's a really good question.
I'm just confused you with chocolate. I don't know. Saw your
I
eyes
just,
move at chocolate.
I'm just, I'm just thinking of just going back. In fact, no, this is where we can start our 2024 season review with. It all started with a chocolate bar.
I didn't even go there. I wasn't even going there, but great. Yes, great.
It
That's
kind
a
of all
good.
started with a chocolate bar at Dublin Airport, which I would hope is not still there. I hope at least someone's been round and cleaned that up at some point. Um, that's how it
I
started.
mean, I remember that. We walked away from that game thinking that was a stunning upset from Georgia Tech. How are we to know that that wasn't an upset at all?
It was an upset that it was so close.
Yes.
Um, and but like I say, we you go back there, and I think that's where I think we need to start this episode. Really, is go into that first game of the season and where it all started, because heading over to Dublin, I mean, the experience of Dublin in and of itself, going to see, I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of it really, but at least getting somewhat to see the college game day, the signs that were just excellent. Pin the
Mm.
nose on Kirk Herbstreit. I've still got the noses somewhere that I got off the guy. Um, we've still got the program on my desk, and just what a great day that was. But you go into that game and you're thinking, right, I'm gonna go watch Florida State win. Fastest defense in the country, definitely the fastest D line in the country. The drubbing they got off Georgia, yeah, Georgia to end the season in 2023
Mm,
was just a product of players leaving for or not playing and opting out and whatnot. And then you just deal with the fact that DJ could not throw a forward pass to save his life, and
that's
how
very true.
painful every lateral behind the line of scrimmage was, and how at the half he's something like averaged minus zero point 0.1 yards of airtime or air yardage per throw.
Yeah,
And then Georgia Tech go away and win that with the last second field goal. Field goal as time hit zero. And I believe, if I'm going back to it, if I'm right, the lad who kicked the field goal was an Irish lad.
he may have been. I don't know.
Pretty sure.
I'll bow
'Cause
to I'll bow to your knowledge if that's the case.
I know Georgia Tech have an Irish kicker, and I'm pretty sure it was him who kicked the field goal at the end and won it for Georgia Tech. Which, to be fair, if you want to talk about the NFL being scripted, if that's the case, you couldn't script that one much better. The hometown kid, the hometown kid from, well, the home country kid from Ireland kicks a game winner as time expires in Dublin. But it really I think it set a precedent for, we sat there in Dublin airport as we met up with Gary, um, getting ready for the plane home, and we were all going, Gary, it's not that bad. It's week zero. You'll be better next week. It's fine.
Were we gaslighting him? I think in hindsight, we were.
I think for gaslighting, it has to, like, we have to have known better. I don't think we knew better.
No, maybe not.
In hindsight, it feels like it, but I think we believed it ourselves enough to make it not gaslighting.
Yeah.
And, it's just one of them. But that's where the season started. Obviously, it ended with Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ohio State win the national championship. So, like, that's out the way. That's done. Don't need to talk about that bit again. What else stood out for you this season?
All right, so Georgia Tech's win over uh, Florida in the game, and that was the
Yeah,
first time I got to meet you and what have you. So the whole day was great. I think while a low light, I have to admit at the time was watching Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. That was a memorable moment for me, not in a great way, but as we've discussed on previous pods, I think that woke the beast. That woke the beast within.
yeah,
So, and then obviously, a few weeks later, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. You know, right at the end of the season, Michigan, who hadn't had a great year, we've discussed this, didn't have a great year, but put the put Ohio State to the sword. So there were moments where you were like, there were results going on that you were like, wow, and for me, to see two-thirds of the Georgia colleges in person was good, was
yeah.
nice. Um, yeah,
The important ones as well, though.
yeah, the important ones, yeah.
You got the important ones
Shout
in.
out to Georgia State. Yeah, terrible football, but
And I think, well, I wanted to talk about that one for one, then we'll go back to it. I did say that that was it. We weren't going to talk about the national championship. Now, I want to say, I was going to, like I said, I had something lined up here. In a few years, Riley Leonard's child is going to be like, Dad, tell me about when you played football. Like, tell me about that last year of you playing football at college. Like, son, I went to the national championship. We lost to Ohio State. We only lost two games all year. and we lost to the best team in the country in Ohio State in the final. You know, I'm so proud of everything we achieved, and that kid's gonna be like, wow, you made it all the way to the college football national championship and only lost a close score to the best team in the country. The other team that beat you must have been really, really good, Dad. And he's gonna have to go, well,
Oh,
about that one.
no, I had something in my eye that day. Oh,
I
um,
Northern Illinois were fantastic that day. They really, really were. I
I, I, ex- I wouldn't be surprised if Riley Leonard ends up at Miami backing up Tua because he's exactly the same type of player, run QB and whatever. You know, if Riley Leonard ends up backing up Tua, go for it, mate, because you'll play regularly. You know.
was gonna say,
Um,
as he,
but let's go back to Northern Illinois. They this summer have been invited to a better division for
very
their
true.
performance. They've been invited to divisional football. So maybe that's Notre Dame spreading the wealth. You know,
Well, yeah, there's you've got to admit, well, you've got to think that that's been in the works for a while. But probably yeah, as soon as that win happened, the Mountain West were like,
yeah,
anything you want. Like, well, we're not sure yet, and the Mountain West are going, no, anything that you want, anything you want. And yeah, now they'll be in the Mountain West as of 2026.
yeah.
And
Um,
they've been in the MAC since 1997, but it's the second stint in the MAC. So they were in the MAC from 1975 to 1985, then they were an independent from 86 to 92. Went to the Big West for a couple of years, were an independent again, then we're back in the MAC, and we're in the MAC for 28 years, and now, well, say 28, it'll 27 now. 28th year will be 2025, and then they'll be in from 2026.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
I mean, that's got to be, yeah, it's exciting for him. And I think that move makes a lot more sense for a team like Northern Illinois.
Yeah,
They're going to be one of the more Western teams, sorry, more Eastern teams in the Mountain West,
yeah.
but it will make a lot of sense for them. But
And maybe they'll have the chance to improve themselves as well. You
yeah, and
know.
you've got to think the cash injection from someone like the
Yeah,
Mountain West over the Mac. And think as well with the Mountain West, like Mac is known for midweek action. You are no longer playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night.
yeah,
It's fine. You've got Saturdays now. That's it. You're just playing Saturdays. And that's got to be a lot better for keeping a schedule together and keeping
yeah,
not just your athletic department happy, but keeping it's a college, it's a university, keeping the academic departments happy because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's an academic
yeah,
institution. You don't have to mess around with, flying out to if you're in the MAC, you don't have to mess about with having to head over to play Central or Eastern Michigan on a Tuesday afternoon and then hoping to be back on time for class on a Wednesday. You can just do your thing during the week, go out on the Friday, come back on the Sunday, and you're fine.
yeah.
Um, and oh, I want to note, by the way, I want to throw back to one of my favorite clips of the year. that I do need to plug off the hard drive at some point and bring back out. Vanderbilt versus Alabama
Hmm.
and the goalposts.
Hmm.
And just what a wild, wild ride that whole thing was, from the game being won, the the goalposts being pulled out the ground, dragged all the way to the river, dumped in the river. But that was only about a third of the excitement, because the next episode we had of College Football UK, we had the infamous story of the traffic cone. And
Yes, the traffic cone.
yeah, and the reminder that your tuition fees weren't wasted to your father, a plea to your father. Um,
I don't think you listened to that episode because I haven't had anything. I haven't had any heat back on the traffic cone.
I wanna be, I wanna just sit there and be like, "What do you mean your dad doesn't listen to the podcast? Why?" But I don't know, if you get away with it, that's fine. Um, and then like that was a lot of fun. But there were so many games this year that ended in pitch invasions, including a couple of them that ended in two pitch invasions because they'd invade the pitch early, get carried
Yeah,
off the field, and then they'd invade the pitch again.
the Arizona State game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Against right at the end of the season as well. Who were they playing? Oh, somebody can't remember. Um, yeah, I mean, there was quite a few. There was quite a few. I mean, that game in itself, the pitch invasion was one thing, but Cam Scatbo went off on that game. He was, that was one of their national. That was one of their national televised games, and he had a
Yeah.
great game and went off on it. And everyone started saying, "Who's this Cam Scatbo?" And he just started climbing the board.
Yeah. And then, well,
I think he's down there. So there, he's down there, look.
are you
So,
looking at someone like Cam Scatterby now and saying, like, whose draft stock skyrocketed the most during the season, do you think? And,
um,
and similarly, in reverse, who's plummeted the most? And why is it Carson Beck?
Uh, well, I don't think you can say Carson Beck's stock plummeted the
Quinn
most
Ewers.
because he's not in the draft.
Oh,
Quinn
yeah.
Ewers might be something because I've got Quinn Ewers down for a day three. He's right down. He's the seventh. I've got him down as the seventh best QB in the draw. So, um, yeah, I mean,
I'm,
was it depends. Ashton Gentry's run from, what was it? He two six touchdowns, over 250 yards in week one.
yeah,
Um, you know, you look at his performances through the year. Did he have high value to start with? Don't know. Travis Hunter again. Travis Hunter's, season finale, 10 catches, 10 catches, 110 yards, multiple touchdowns on offense, an interception on defense, number one out of the draft. How high was his stock to start with? I don't know. So I think the person at the moment that I would say whose draft stock has gone up more than I can think is Mike Green of Marshall. He had an absolute brilliant Senior Bowl this weekend. Um, and his stats for the season. All right, it's Marshall. All right, he wasn't playing. Goes back to the same old we've had discussion. You can only play who you can play.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean he's come out of nowhere. So maybe I give it him.
yeah. I was gonna say, Ashton Genty came out with 2023, 12 games played, 10 games started, 220 rushing attempts, 1,347 yards, 6.1 yards average, 14 touchdowns, and then 43 receptions for 569 yards, a 13.2 yard average, and 5 touchdowns in the air. Then, obviously, in 2024, he came out with 14 games played, 14 games started, 374 rushing attempts, 2,601 yards, an average of 7 yards a rush, 29 touchdowns with 23 receptions, 138 yards, and averaging 6 and 1 touchdown. That's obviously like the drastic depletion in receiving yards, but then again, why the hell would you give it to him in the air when he's so good with it in the on the ground?
Yeah,
Giving it him on the ground is just a much naturally much better thing. You don't risk. There's a lot less risk involved in the exchange between the players, the quarterback and the running back in that situation. But I can't tell you because I can't remember going back to the start. Maybe I'm just not well, so I'm not remembering back that far as well at the moment. But like, I can't remember how high we had Ashton Jensen. I remember us talking about him as the season was starting and early, and just mentioning so maybe to look at. But I don't think any of us had him this high. And then after a few weeks, we were like, this guy's name is being mentioned on a Thursday in Green Bay on a stage.
yeah.
It's not going to be the Friday. It's not going to be the Saturday. This guy's getting mentioned on the Thursday. And for a running back, I know we had, well, a couple of years ago, we had two running backs go in the first round in Bijan Robinson and Jameer Gibbs. And it's considered quite a rare thing for a running back to go so high and for such high stock to be put in a running back. But I think someone like Ashton Genty is different.
I mean, would we say that the last person, Saquon Barkley, probably would be the last person you would say was that sort of running back that got taken that high? Because he went number two, didn't he? Number two,
He
one,
did.
two.
Yeah, and he was dominant in college.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, I want to go back to the Boise State Penn State game, and I said at the time I want to see how he fares against a D line and linebackers from a Penn State, not from the schools that they've been playing all year. Don't forget, he also did very well against Oregon. By the way, I'm not throwing that bit. I'm not putting that down that he did so well against Oregon, but
yeah,
I think you've also got to put some of that down to as well. Having said that, yes, he didn't have as good a game. He still had a damn good game against Penn State. But don't forget his O line is already mismatched playing against your Abdul Carters of the world.
yeah,
So if you going into the NFL, it's not a true indictment that he dipped in some of his production against the Penn State because well, his offensive line is automatically worse because they're playing against Penn State's D line. The QB is automatically not having as good a game because he's playing against Penn State. Everything else on the field is mismatched against him. It just means that they can get into the backfield quicker and get him earlier. It means they can hit him a little bit harder. So, put him behind a decent NFL O line, he will still be fantastic.
yeah,
And I think over the last couple of years, what we're seeing is a bit of a resurgence in the running back
yeah,
in the NFL, personally, because you look at the Eagles have got to the Super Bowl on the back of Saquon Barkley and how a good running back changed a lot of that team. The Detroit Lions are where they are now because they have had two damn good running backs in tandem and then it let the QB play off that. You look at the Baltimore Ravens and the way they play with Derek Henry. You look at how, as well, Atlanta Falcons have been a bit crap this year, but their best thing to come out of it was Bijan Robinson was pretty good still.
yeah.
I think teams are starting to realistically look back to the running back and say this is still a very valuable position and somewhere you want value. Alvin Kamara, when the Saints were at the best, Alvin Kamara was playing really, really well.
I think the running back position is one of those that The very best running backs are worth the investment, but there's not enough of them. You know, you you're not gonna, no disrespect to yourself there, but you're not gonna put Alvin Kamara in the same division sort of as Saquon Barkley. They're miles
Yeah.
apart. So there's maybe half a dozen at most running backs that are the top, you know, absolute top percentage of their position. And I think if you have one of them, they are worth their weight in gold. But if you
Yeah.
don't have one of them, it is next man up because there's so many of them.
What do all of them also have though, as well, apart from Alvin Kamara? What are Jameer Gibbs and what did Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery have?
Dan
Fantastic,
Campbell shouting at him.
fantastic O line.
Yeah,
The Eagles and Saquon Barkley, fantastic O line. The Baltimore Ravens, fantastic O line. So I don't want to take that away from it either.
no,
But trench games and having a good run game to work off is being a lot like the value in it in the NFL right now. So the only thing is the running back market is so lagging behind that it still has a way to catch up. But why would you go and pay, I don't know, a DeAndre Swift of the world, whatever he wants, when you can go and get an Ashton Genty or a Cam Scatterby in the draft?
yeah.
What's the point? Because the amount you're going to pay in contracts is still not worth it. And that's the only place where I think the running back market is just a bit.
I mean, yeah. You take a running back in the first round, whether he's number one or whether he's number 32, it doesn't matter. You take a running back in the first round, you get that extra fifth year on the contract. You get two franchise. Let's be fair, you get two franchise tags. I know there's a third franchise tag, but that's like 40 odd percent price rise. Nobody's going to tag anybody. Right?
Yeah.
You can probably tag a kicker for a foot third time, but that's about it because he gets paid peanuts.
Yeah.
Um,
40% of
but
nothing is
any
still nothing.
position of any, well, yeah, but so maybe after 7 years, your running back's got no tires on the, got no tread on the tires anyway. He's been hit. His knees are shot, and because he's done 3 years of college, 4 years of college, maybe. Now,
Yeah.
all right, there might be 4 or 5 running backs in college that he's sharing with, but if you're an Ashton Gentry, you're not sharing much, are you? So he may have played that position for like 10 years. By the time you're done with him after year seven, you chuck him out, and he doesn't really get the payday that everyone thinks he gets because by then he's done and dusted.
Yeah.
So that's where the running back market is a bit skewed in that they're just thrown away after so much time. Look at Zeke. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. Absolute monster at Dallas. But by the time he went to the Patriots, he had nothing left in his legs. Went back to Dallas, and they were like, "Did you leave your legs in New England?" And they kicked him out. So there
Players,
comes a time when they're just no good.
with all due respect to Ezekiel Elliott, no one can be like what happens in Dallas, not your fault.
No,
Like
very true.
that's Dak Prescott's making 60 million a year over there. Like that whole place, you cannot be blamed for whatever happens there. They've got a geriatric running the whole show. Who, by the way, that geriatric, the
He
show
loves
has
his
to.
glory hole.
He really does. Um, but and the show has to be about him. I remember the Brian Schottenheimer. press conference. I swear Brian Schottenheimer spoke for about 4 minutes and then Jerry Jones went on for an hour and a half. Like they're just like I don't blame anyone for anything that happens in Dallas.
I didn't
It's
know. I
it's
didn't know till
representation.
I didn't know till last week. I know we take the piss out of Jerry for his glory hole comment, and most people probably listening to this know what we're referring to when we say glory hole. I'm not going to get into that. But did you know that glory there is an oil
You know,
terminology glory hole?
no, you're not getting into the glory hole right now.
No. When
Not going inside it.
no.
Nope.
Where there is a terminology in the oil industry of
Right.
when you hit the jackpot and you create the hole to drill your oil from, that is known as your glory hole.
Fair enough.
That apparently that's what Jerry has always referred to.
Right.
The fact that you've got that hole into the oil finally dug and drilled, and
So
that's what he's always referred to. But of course, every Tom, Dick, and Harry refers to it as something else because we're not in
yeah.
the oil industry.
So he's talking about a greasy glory hole that you have to drill into. Okay. Um,
Yes, yes,
right.
he is.
Okay. So just so we're clear,
Yeah,
it wasn't anything dirty. It was a greasy
no,
glory hole, greased up glory hole that you got to drill into, right? Um, so you can all take your minds out with the gutter on that one.
yeah,
Um, filth, pure filth. Yeah, I just don't think many people can be blamed for what goes on in Dallas. It's not fair.
yeah,
It's
no,
the fact that they were paid right, I know this is a lot of NFL for a college podcast, but the fact that they are still paying Ezekiel Elliott from the last time he was in Dallas, and what they're paying him for the last time he was in Dallas is more than he is currently making while he is in Dallas on the contract now, speaks volumes of where they're at as an organization. So, or at least
cat
that was
chasing
the
its
case in
tail.
2024. That was the
Yeah,
case. It just says everything about what's there. But yeah, I think it's just one of them. Like the running back position in the NFL is, I think it's starting to see a resurgence in where it's valued, but it's a bit like the QB position in it's changed what it was over the years because your running backs used to be your Emmett Smiths, your Barry Sanders, your Adrian Petersons, your like the guys who
yeah. They used to be
they
the
were
guys
runners.
that can barrel through a hole, that can force their way. You look now, you look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are, you know, normally they have Joe Tooney at left guard. And Joe Tooney is really good at just pushing his man just slightly one way. You know, the Chiefs tackle pushes him slightly the other way, and it creates that little V. And
Yeah,
there goes the Chiefs running back and just drills himself straight through. Stop it, stop it. Whereas now, because their left tackle's injured, Joe Tooney's out at left tackle, which means the guy who's coming in at guard isn't shifting the defensive tackle as well, and so the run game of the Chiefs is being affected because
yeah.
the running back can't drill through the
The V. I'm sorry.
can't drill the hole that he's needed to get through. Excuse me. So, yeah,
You are a
that is a
child,
point.
Nick. You are a child.
I'm just trying to explain it. So,
And yeah,
in that case, you have a prime example there of how the offensive, you talked about the offensive line, you talked about
yeah,
how, you know, the good offensive lines that are in front of these running backs, because that's what these offensive lines are
yeah,
being asked to do. They're being asked to create spaces for the running backs chopper. The running backs are getting smaller and quicker so that they can move left, right, and they can change directions so much quicker. Whereas running backs used to be a bit slightly bigger because they used to
yeah.
force their way through.
But I mean, so there's that, and I'm absolutely with you on it. You've got the running backs who used to just go through people,
Yeah,
You look at the amount of Barry Sanders highlights you watch where like he goes into the scrimmage, 4 or 5 guys jump on top of it, and you go in like the guy might be dead here, and then next minute you just see him pop out of the pile, and he's still got the ball in his hand. The ball's not touched the floor. No,
Yeah,
no part of his body's touched the floor apart from his foot. And he's gone. And you're thinking, how the bloody hell have you made? Like, you've got guys like that. That's used to be what you're running back. They were a runner, and they were the primary asset for the well, other than the quarterback, they were the primary asset for the team. That's what the game used to be about. And then, but I think what I'm more meaning now is your Bijan Robinsons, your Jameer Gibbs. Oh, Derrick Henry's different. Derrick Henry's a different type of player, but and Saquon Barkley is kind of different as well, just because they've got such talent at wide receiver that they don't have to be. But it's moving into a point where if you want to be a top receiver, a top running back in the game, you've got to be a back and a receiver. You've at least got to have that talent in the passing game to be such a high to be such an asset, especially when it comes to the draft. And as you see there,
yeah,
Genty might not be, he might not have been the number one target, but he still has the ability to be targeted and have an effect in the run game, in the passing game. But I
yeah.
also want to throw another player out there for this has been a the 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 avenue that we've been on just to talk about players whose draft stock has or hasn't plummeted in this, and you've been such a child about it, Nick, that
Thank you.
um
Yeah,
and I've been
it's all my fault.
such a grown up and an adult about it.
Yeah,
Um, but I want to throw out there two players, Shadar Sanders, Travis Hunter. And I'm not saying the most, but Shadar Sanders last year was considered to be what everyone thought was going to be probably a bit of a laughing stock. Colorado were the team that like Deion Sanders threw everything at them in the transfer portal, and they got 4 wins. Deion Sanders would never do it because they're all about flash and no substance and all that sort of stuff. They went off and had a great year. Granted, didn't make the Big 12 national championship, the Big 12 championship game, but they had a damn good year. And Shador Sanders, by many, I mean, I don't stand by this specifically, but he's been considered by some to be a number one overall pick. And he's definitely considered by many to be, him and Travis Hunter will both go in the top 5 because Travis Hunter likely being number one overall going to the not the Jags, to the Titans. Well, like, though, I don't think they'll have a duo whose draft stock, or Shador Sanders has to be up there with the ones whose draft stock has rocketed this year.
yeah. I mean, I think he's benefited from he's benefited from a very weak year at QB. We always knew. I mean, this is why. Again, we're in a college podcast, but we're going to go back to the NFL. You talk about last year when you had all those QBs come out, and um, you had Williams come out, you had Jaden Daniels come out, and Drake May come out. One, two, three, boom, boom, boom. You know, and then a few steps later, Michael Penix pops out, and JJ McCarthy's out, and Bo Nix is out. And the thing was, people were so desperate for a QB because everyone knew that this year's class was significantly down in quality. And Shador Sanders even made a thing about not coming to the NFL last year because he wanted to stay in college a bit more because he genuinely believed he could be the number one QB in college this year. And to be fair, based on my board, he is. Um,
Yeah.
so he's he he's very different QB at the moment in that we've had this phase where QBs have been the pocket passer, you know, and Brady was probably the last of his generation. I mean, he played that long; he could have been the last of about 4 generations, but he was the last real, true, great pocket passer. And then over time, the QB position has transcended into this hybrid hybrid position where you look at like someone like Lamar Jackson who can both run and pass. You look at,
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes and all Jaden Daniels and all the guys coming out now who are much more they're run-based QBs. They're not sit there in the pocket and use your arm. They can use their arm, but they will run around and create opportunities using their legs.
yeah.
Shador Sanders reminds me more of that slightly older type QB where, he's not quite pure pocket passer, but he's not hybrid level either. He's maybe the bridge between the two. The Aaron Rodgers style, if you like, that little bit. He's got a little bit of movement, but he's still the pocket guy. Because
Yeah,
Shador loves to operate in his pocket. He
it
doesn't.
does.
He can move out. He can run if he needs to, but he's far more comfortable in the pocket. And I think it's nice to see amongst all these hybrid QBs. It's nice to see a traditional guy who does enjoy the older style.
Someone who I've heard him get compared to, and I laughed when I first heard it, but I went back and watched some tape of the two. Teddy Bridgewater, when he was at Miami,
Right.
I don't know how much you paid attention. Well, not necessarily when he was at Miami, but like in his early days when he was at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater had a damn good arm on him. Like there were certain parts of his game which just weren't quite, and especially when he was coming out of Louisville,
Yeah.
Teddy. There were just certain parts of his game that, like, in his arm that needed working. Maybe it's like the touch that he gets on the ball and whatnot. The things he needs to work on he needed to work on very much the same as what Shadar needs to work on. They're remarkably similar. And like people will laugh about that one, but when Teddy Bridgewater came out of college, he was a damn good quarterback. Injuries ruined his career.
Yeah. Yes, they did. They did. You're right. So I
Um,
kind of, I kind of get a little um, of Drew Brees in Shador.
okay.
There's. I'm not saying Shador's going to be anywhere close to as good as Drew Brees was, but you can just see those little aspects of, you know, the way the way he pump fakes or the way he tends to move, um, prefer a shimmy to one side or the other, and just in the same way that although Cam Scatbo doesn't isn't the same as Derek Henry, he does
Yeah.
give me Derek Henry vibes from the way that he just powers through everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you can see there's like very little minute aspects of um, Drew Brees
Yeah.
in Shador Sanders.
Knows.
But I think moving on to Travis Hunter, I mean, he is what? I cannot remember when we had a guy like that
Yeah.
since. I mean, it's certainly this century. He's
No,
a bona fide superstar. I don't remember anyone this side of the millennium that has been like him, you know,
no. Do you know why you can't remember that?
because it hasn't
Because there
happened.
hasn't been one.
No.
I mean, then let's just, let's call it what it is. Generational talent.
Yeah.
There's a
No other
generational talent.
No other player has at least 10 receiving touchdowns, 90 catches, 1,000 receiving yards, and 4 interceptions in a single season. No other player ever in the history of the game has got that.
I mean, yeah, just you look at we spoke about Ashton Genty, and now you talk about Travis Hunt. It's just the two of them have just had such remarkable seasons. And it annoyed me so much that everyone played into this media us versus them. You're either on Team Genty or Team Travis Hunter for the Heisman, or if you back Travis Hunter, then it's just you're part of the media and you've been played by. Like it was such bullshit, man, because they were both so good this year,
Yeah,
and I still stand by like if Ashton Genty would have won the Heisman, I'd have been so happy with that outcome. I
yeah,
can't argue with the outcome, whatever it was. Um, and so we've witnessed that. It's just his two historical seasons. I think. If you were looking for a year, if you are just getting into college football now, with all due respect, don't expect this to happen every. There will be someone who has just an incredible year. From a position that you don't necessarily expect. Maybe not a punter or a kicker, but there'll be someone who comes out and you're just like, wow, every year. Someone.
yeah.
But don't expect historical seasons like this every year from someone. Um, but speaking of potential historical seasons in the future, I want to throw out two names. The I think one of them I do think is somewhat NFL ready already. But another that has been already touted, he's a true freshman, but already been touted as NFL ready and could walk into the draft and go in the first round, and he's 18. That's Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, accompanied by Ryan Williams of Alabama. And I want to throw it out there just because, I mean, just Jeremiah Smith on his own was just,
Can we stop saying Jeremiah Smith? He gives me nightmares.
it makes me feel sick, man. I don't want to talk about him, but just incredible. He really, really is. I just think he's got at least 2 more years at the college level.
Yeah,
And just, if Ohio State even get half good situation at their quarterback sorted while Will Howard goes, man, that guy's gonna tear up college football for the next 2 years. But Ryan Williams, and I'm very, 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 very good. Also a true freshman, but I just want to throw back to his touchdown against Georgia. Wow.
yeah.
Just wow.
Impressive. Very impressive. Talking talking of making you sick. I saw I saw a mock draft the other day that had the Detroit Lions drafting Jack Sawyer. Now, can you imagine age? Can you imagine Jack Sawyer and um, Aiden
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson in the same room together?
Yes.
Dan Campbell is going to have to referee that. And can you imagine the kind of bets, side bets that are going on between the two of them when Michigan play? I mean, they are two lads who are born bleeding blue and bleeding red.
Yeah.
And, can you have those two in the same team?
Well, believe it or not, now I know that there are a couple of Michigan players on the Cleveland Browns, and for most people who support Ohio State support the Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati Bengals, they tend to go because well, Cincinnati's not quite as Ohio as the other places are. They're on the edge of, is it Kentucky? Um, the city of
I don't
Cincinnati.
know, man.
It's
Yes.
right on the very, very borders with the next state along, and I believe it's Kentucky. Um, so like Cincinnati's not really, it's kind of Ohio, but let's face it, if you like Cincinnati, it's not Ohio. Um, sorry. Hence why I consider Toledo to be legally a part of Michigan. Um, but you look at well, you've already got Taylor Decker, our offensive lineman. He's an Ohio State boy. Very rare. We drafted Jeff Okuda. 2 years ago, was like number three overall cornerback from Ohio
Hmm.
State. We've drafted Ohio State boys before.
Yeah,
Doesn't it initially go over well with many people? Because as you can imagine,
yeah,
most Michigan fans are Detroit Lions fans.
yeah.
Michigan State fans, primarily Detroit Lions fans. Just because of the state of Michigan, and Detroit are the only team in the state of Michigan in the NFL. So it just kind of translates to that. So it never normally goes over well when the Lions draft an
No,
Ohio State player.
funnily enough, when I did see that, when I saw that draft, when I saw that mock draft, the first person I thought of was you. And I thought,
Um,
can you really I'll have to bring that up because I don't
it
know whether you can actually make that fly.
look,
Be like having two caged animals, isn't you?
yeah, it's a weird. To be fair, and I'll give it to all of them. The second they put on an NFL uniform, they are NFL professionals.
Yeah,
And I think you'll have some friendly banter, maybe, especially when you've got Jack Sawyer and Aiden Hutchinson in the same room, because they'll be in pretty much every meeting together.
yeah.
Might get a bit chippy in some of those practices. It might get a bit, but they will both be. I am 100% certain that they would be
Yeah. Oh, I no doubt. I know.
consummate professionals.
I no doubt. I have no doubt.
And let's face it, they only played each other for a couple of years anyway. Um,
Yeah,
Aiden Hutchinson, and let's face it, the difference between them two is Aiden Hutchinson knows what it feels like to win the big game.
yeah.
Jack Sawyer doesn't know what that feels like.
It's
Um,
like having you and Mr. Ohio in the same room. Yeah.
but just
Consummate professional.
just but I want to talk about that Ryan Williams touchdown for 1 second because oh my
Go on.
days, man, it's still I just don't get how like it's a proper cometh the hour cometh the man, but it's not really a man. It's a boy in a growing man's body.
Yeah.
He's 18, and in Georgia versus Alabama, when you just looks like you've blown that big a lead, to pull out that where you make the catch, you bring it in, and on the sideline as you catch it, you spin and send two guys. It's
I didn't know a
unreal.
body could twist like that. You know.
Ours can't. Ours can't twist like that.
No.
You'd be forgiven for not thinking a body can twist like that because not happening, mate. It's just not happening for us.
I mean, even at 16, 17, 18, when I was playing ice hockey, I don't think my body could twist like that.
I think my leg tried to once, and I cried and said, asked me manager to substitute me out, but in football,
Can you get me mum?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're like, for crying out loud, man, you're 27. Um, but I was like, it was such that for me was touchdown of this. That's play of the season. It was incredible.
Yeah,
And one of my other favourite moments of this year, and I'm so upset that Sam could not be here for this one because it also involves Georgia, but it also involves Texas. And looking back on it now, it's a favourite moment of mine. At the time, most of us sat there and went, "What the fucking hell is going on here?" When a decision doesn't go your way, what you do, you throw enough rubbish and beer on the field to stop the play and make the referees look at it again and get the decision to go your way. Wild. That was wild.
are you trying to say that the referees did that they didn't do that of their own volition?
I'm saying that they were. I'm not. Well, They were given sufficient amount of time to give an appropriate look at it and reach the correct decision because they had more chances to look at it and analyze the situation. However, they were only afforded that time because some babies decided to throw beer on the field because the decision didn't go their way. Correct decision, incorrect decision, whatever the outcome actually was, the decision was only changed because beer was thrown on the field.
True, possibly, yes. I can't deny that that might be the case. So,
But I want to just, I'm just gonna throw it out there, just because again, I think we just need to, um, yeah, I don't know where. Last thing I'm going to say, by the way, is Kent State remained the only winless team this year. Kennesaw State got 2 wins, I believe, in the end, didn't we? Kennesaw State, the mighty, mighty Kennesaw State. I do need to speak to our good friend Chapman. See next time he's going to Georgia, and Atlanta, and see if he can get me some more, get me some Kennesaw State gear. Uh, uh, very, very, very much want one of them.
apparently,
Little jersey.
they had a couple of inches of snow the other week, and they were all panicking.
Uh, they're just not built for.
No.
But to be fair, how many times has it hit like 27 degrees in Manchester Celsius, and half of the city shut down because we can't cope? Trams don't work anymore. Rails melt.
No, it's too hot. It's the rails melt. Yeah,
Um, it's
but
we.
yeah,
I sometimes I think it's weird like how I get where they come from, but at the same time, our city is not built for anything more than moderate temperatures for any given time of
it's
year.
like yeah. There's like there was that incident where the sun was shining off a build. I think it was in Manchester. It might have been in London actually. I forget. But there was sun was shining off a building and shining down onto some cars. It was reflecting off this window, and it was so hot as the sun moved and it moved along these cars. It set fire to some of the cars because it went reflected off the window, went down and went through the windscreen and set fire to the interior of these cars. It was about three or four cars. That's hot.
Um, like, again, like we're just the country is not built for this. It's not. We're just not built for it. But like I said, the Kennesaw State come away with 2 wins on the year. They did like upset of the year when they beat Liberty
Yeah.
to win their first ever FBS game. Then they beat FIU with a game to go in the season. It was, I mean, onwards and upwards for the Mighty Owls. And as I've already predicted before, they will be the group of 5 team represented at the college football playoffs next season. When Michigan end up in the college football playoffs next season and they go on the run that they do, it's going to be a Michigan Kennesaw State final. Obviously, I'm going to have to side with Michigan because they were my first love. But just know that I'm putting it out there now. So when I'm right, you can all be like, "Oh shit, Fletch, you were right." Um, it's just
I don't think Old Dominion are going to make the playoffs. I'll be honest.
no,
You
because
know.
Kennesaw State are.
I respect the fact that Old Dominion decided to win the game that I went to watch, thank you, but I don't think they are going to make the playoffs anytime soon.
I do want to shout it out though as well, by the way, that their week 3 game against San Jose State and Kennesaw State, and Kennesaw State, the game was played on True TV, and I
Mm,
only know of True TV because of the Impractical Jokers, and that's what they're. I thought that was a comedy channel,
right.
so either they're trying to tell me something here about Conference USA football, or I
Right.
didn't know what True TV was all about. But either way,
I'm gonna show how far out of the zone I am. What's in Practical Jokers?
right. It's been going for years. Used to be on
Right.
comedy. Used
Okay.
to put it on Comedy Central. It's where four mates. They've known each other since like
Yeah.
high school. Like they're all from New York. They got known each other
Right.
since high school, and it's the one you might have seen some of the memes of it, where they all wear earpieces and they'll go out
Oh,
in
and they
public
tell each other to do something
and they
stupid.
tell each other to do stupid,
Right.
stupid
Yeah. I've
stuff.
seen a clip. Yeah. Right. So
Um,
that's Impractical Jokers. Right. Okay.
yes.
Right. I'm with you
That's
now.
that's a true TV pro. So I thought it was like a crappier version of Comedy Central or something.
Okay.
But so either Conference USA football is that hilarious they're playing it on comedy channels, um,
Probably.
which used to be the running joke about Man United, didn't it? That United games would now be streamed on Comedy Central,
Yeah.
and or they've got it on like this little. I like that. I like that though. If it is a bit more of a wide variety of programming, I like that they get on channels like that. It reminds me of when David Hay fought a boxing match on Dave. The three of his
Yeah.
fights were on Dave.
Yeah. We've got a TV channel called Dave. For those that are listening in America, we've got a TV channel called Dave.
And if you're in America and if you're into boxing, you will. He was never the biggest in the world, but he was quite world famous as a boxer. David Hay. He
He's a
wasn't.
world champion.
Wait, but he just didn't. I don't think he was ever that
To me,
big.
give him his cred. He went to Russia when nobody else would. He did his Ivan Drago. He went and fought that big 7 foot Russian that was so wide. Even the Klitschko's wouldn't go near him because they
Yeah,
were scared half to death of him. But David Hay went with his speed and his movement and absolutely smashed, literally chopped the guy down like a tree, and eventually took him. I'm sure, sure the guy was Russian or
yeah,
Belarusian or something, and he was like 7 foot, so absolute monster, and the Klitschko's would go nowhere near him, and he had that belt for ages, and then Hay went and took it. So to be fair, Hay was a world champion and earned it.
yeah. Like I just never imagined David Hay having that kind of resonating name across the world. But
Yeah,
I did find it hilarious at the time when I was a bit like, it was when his career was starting to fade a bit. And I was like, he was fighting on Dave. And I don't disrespect it, but it is funny. It does make me laugh that we had boxing on Dave. Because Dave, again, for anyone in the States, that used to be like where you would watch. Okay, Gold was where you got most of the reruns of comedies from the 70s and 80s and
yeah,
90s and whatnot. But Dave used to be where you'd get your reruns of more modern programming. Never used to have many of their own things that they'd show, but it was like episodes of Top Gear and things from the BBC. They'd just replay
yeah.
them on a loop until they started making their own programming, and most of it was comedy. Um, and then you had David A. boxing fights. I just like it was brilliant. Um, but anyway,
It's
just
amazing. It's amazing the stuff we discuss on a college
I know.
podcast.
You'd think that we genuinely, if you were chopping in and out of this episode, there's someone sat there going, I've got for fuck, like, will you talk about college football at some point, please? Because we've had a lot of NFL talk. We've had glory holes. We've had drilling V gaps. No V holes. Dave. These, yeah, it's wild. Anything else that stood out for you this season before we start to wrap it up, and then I want to ask you something about something's behind you.
No, I think I would say, on a personal point of view, it's been it's been wonderful to be part of the team. Um, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. It was nice to meet everybody in Ireland, um, minus Sam. And yeah, long may it continue because I do look forward to our weekly chats. I mean, off season we started at the weekends, which worked great for me. But during the season we've moved to Wednesdays. I make it work. I love it. I love talking. I love talking about what I enjoy. So it has been an absolute pleasure to be part of the team. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I'll send you that 50 quid later. Um,
No worries.
sound the no, I fully appreciate it. It's been. Do you know what? I will say this though, we've hit a number of milestones. I think the numbers that we put up on this podcast this year. I remember looking one week. We did some steady okay numbers for a little while. I think I tuned in one week and it was like nearly 10 times the numbers, and it stayed pretty consistent at those numbers since. And it's just wow, wow.
Yeah.
The response that we've had from people has been excellent. So to be able to do that and talk about it with yourselves, especially you and Gary and Sam and Egg and whatnot, there's just been it's just been it's brilliant. And hopefully we can just grow it and get some more incredible people on. We've got some plans to bring some other people in who we already know. So we'll see. But yeah, it's been brilliant. It really, really has. And we've had some devastating news over the last couple of days. Now, I don't know if I want to put someone on blast or not because I feel really, really bad putting them on blast because I don't think it's that serious. But one of the team won't be going to Ireland with us.
No.
And what I need people to do is I've not been great at the AAW social media the last few days. What we need people to do is if you go into the Dublin game in August to go watch Kansas State, Iowa State, tweet the AAW Network, comment on our Instagram, send us DMs, and just let us know how much you want all of us to be there and how much you want the whole team, me, Nick, Gary, Sam, Egg, and just how desperate you are to see all of us. And we'll try and see what we can do about getting one of our members of our team over. Mrs. Fletch will be there as well because it's all anyone ever tunes in for anymore, really, to see if there's a potential interaction between Mrs. Fletch. Like, she's like the special guest every week that somehow turns up in some way, shape, or
She's the
form.
mascot. She's the mascot.
Yeah, mascot normally tries to assault me at any one given moment,
Yeah.
but it's fine. The Mrs. Fletch will be with us. We've got one of Mrs. Fletcher's mates come in, and we've got some stuff going on with the incredible guys over at Ballers, by the way. With Meg and Scott and the guys over there, they'll be going over, so we'll be catching up with them. And obviously, we're just waiting on College Football Ireland themselves to ring us up and say, "Listen, do you want to host the whole event for us?" Because you know, well, just we're just waiting on that phone call now, obviously. Because well,
Do you reckon we can get do you reckon we can get McAfee on our podcast?
oh,
Because he did a podcast appearance last year.
he did, he did. I'd love to see something like that, but we'll see.
Maybe we'll just get maybe we'll just get Herb.
I tell you, we will be back for that episode.
Oh,
We will be on for that episode. But before we go, before we wrap it up, and I just want to say we've been from the kickoff of game one together to now. It's been great. And now we focus on the 2025 off season. So I want to ask you, Nick, you brought up a few weeks ago. What's that behind you right there?
it's been here. It's been here for a good few weeks, but it's been empty. This is our college UK football draft board. So, forgive me, I am still to write down the linebackers, the cornerbacks, and the safeties. Um, but I had to wait till the Senior Bowl this last
Yes.
weekend because a few things changed. So basically, you have what I believe are the seven best players in each position. I've assigned those who I believe have a day one grade in green. Day two grade are in orange. Day three grade are in blue. And the red ones are those that have been injured or have suffered significant injury and missed a period of time.
Right.
So, yeah, and it's just a case of I'll, people will move about over the next few months as the combine happens and what have you, and I watch a bit more film. But a lot
Yeah.
of what I did happened at Christmas when I watched a lot of stuff and did all the prep that I needed to do,
So
and then it was just waiting for the thing to
the
finish.
the obviously the camera quality going into it is not great, and I don't necessarily ask it to be. Oh, you're gonna do it. But
I'll
is
move
that
it a bit.
Shadar Sanders, Cam Ward, Jackson
Jackson Dart,
Dart, Will Howard,
Jalen Milrow,
Jalen Milrow, Kyle McCord, and then your
and Quinn
names in the way that.
Ewers.
Then Nick Cosgrove is what I see there on that last one. No way, you didn't tell us. Is this your way of telling us you're declaring for the draft?
I am not declaring for the draft. It's got nothing to do with me. I got Willie Lampkin on though. Right down here, I got Willie Lampkin. Um,
Willie all the way at the bottom.
Willie all the way at the bottom. I'll tell you a thing. Interesting story about Quinn Ewers. I took him on. I put him on. Took him off. Put him on. Took him off. Put him on. Took him off because I couldn't decide between him, Dylan Gabriel, um, Riley Leonard. There was about four or five that I could have put on at that last spot. I could have given Quinn Ewers an orange one, but I couldn't justify it. So, but that's the thing. I may give, for example, I've given, let's say, um, Xavier Restrepo here at my. He has so been in a massive impression on me. He may well go at the end of day one.
Yeah,
Someone might go high, say I have to have this guy. So
yeah.
just because I think he's a day two doesn't mean he won't go day one. Again, Jackson Dart, someone might just chance it at the end of that first round and pick him up. Just because I've given him a day two grade doesn't mean he will go day two.
Yeah.
Some might drop into day three. Some day threeers might go in day two. But yeah, I've just tried to be consistent and
Do
yeah.
I see
So
you've got
that's our
Travis?
board.
Have you got Travis Hunter listed as a wide receiver there?
I have got Travis Hunter at number one at wide receiver, but you will also notice there is a space here at corner because I won't put anyone there because whether Travis Hunter is there or whether he's there, he's the number one. So that space will stay empty. I
Okay.
do have a spare. I do have a spare wide receiver not on the board here that everyone will move up one. If Travis Hunter decided he was a corner, everyone will move up one, and I've got a spare wide receiver to stick in there. Same as if he decides he's a wide receiver, I've got enough cornerbacks that I'll just move one up into
Okay.
the in. But yeah,
Okay. I was just curious. But no, that's fine. Look, there's a lot of chances it's not quite finished yet. There's a lot more time for us to talk about this draft board. I'm sure we're going to have a great episode of. We're definitely going to do a crossover with Head on the Line, especially for a big draft special closer to the time of the draft. So keep an eye on that one. We will be keep putting episodes out. We're going to go on a couple of weeks hiatus on this podcast. Just give everyone a break. I know Nick just gave a heartfelt plea for me to not leave him for a couple of weeks. Nick, I'm always only a text or a phone call away. It's
it's
fine.
all right. No worries.
But
Providing I know you're coming back, I'm all right.
yeah,
What I would say though is if people are interested, my social at Nick Cosgrove UK, which is down there on the screen.
yes,
On Friday night, I am taking part in a mock draft with a huge loads of different podcast teams from different all around the US and the UK and what have you. So we're doing a mock draft on Friday.
yeah.
So by all means, if you jump on my social, all the information's there. You can watch the mock draft, or
Links.
I'll link something into the college football
I was saying links to your
feed as
socials are
well.
normally in the bio as well of this episode, in the
Yeah,
description of the episode. Another good place to catch us if you want over the next couple of weeks is Discord. Should have plugged that a bit earlier. The Discord, we've gone a bit quiet. I'm not a fan of that. But please come and join us in the Discord. You can come and chat with us directly. It's not listening to our podcast. It's not hitting us up on the socials. You can chat with us directly as hosts of the podcasts with the NFL guys, the college guys.
They could talk about drilling V holes.
Come talk to us. Come talk to us about glory holes. Come talk to us about your V gaps. Come talk to us about any of your.
Do you reckon we could put Sam on that conversation? Come and talk to Sam about drilling V holes
Sam is
and gaps
Sam.
and see what he says.
Sam is an oil maniac. He loves all things to
Loves
do
it.
with oil. So you come and talk to Sam about these glory holes. Um, in fact, I've got some videos about them that I want to send him later on that I'm sure he's gonna love. Um, the right, I've lost my train of thought now. I was no, we're back. We're back.
Discord chatting.
Yes,
Chat with
Discord.
us.
Come and chat with us on Discord. I mean, but genuinely, when the conversation gets flowing, it's a really good community. We've got some people from all over the NFL UK community in there. We've got some really good conversations going on when they do. So come and join us. The link's in the description. The links are on our social medias. Please come and join us on Discord. Chat to us directly. And while it's the off season, tell us what you want to see. Tell us what episode you want us to cover. If you are from the UK and you're not sure about college football or anything like that, and if there's a topic you want covering, tell us and we'll talk about it. We'll plan an episode around it. Um, but that is the best place to get us, have a chat with us. And in fact, saying that, Discord went down the other day, like 4 minutes. The
Oh, you
worst
must have
four
been. You
minutes.
must have. I was going to say you must have been heartbroken.
I,
Worst
I
four
no, I was.
minutes.
That's the only. I've been so bad with everything from Twitter and Instagram and all that sort of stuff the last few weeks. But my days, like if I'm on Discord 24/7. It's my favorite place to be right now. I'm in so many different servers for so many different things that like I felt like my life had been unplugged for 4 minutes. It's really really quite sad, but I don't care. So with that in mind, that's us. Again, couple of weeks, we'll be back with an episode. Check the socials, check our Discord for updates on that. Come and chat with us, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Right.